I haven't seen the tweet. It's an ongoing process. I'm following it very closely, just like everybody else is here, and looking forward to a resolution. I'm excited, thinking about Lamar all the time, thinking about him as our quarterback. We're building our offense around that idea, and I'm just looking forward to getting back to football, and I'm confident that's going to happen.
First of all, shout out to Kimberly Martin back there in the shot when John Harbaugh was talking, our friend of the show, Kimberly Martin. And shout out to Natalie. What's happening, Natalie? Happy Monday to you. You look like you're somewhere fun, somewhere important, somewhere where you could ask the important questions that journalists need to be asking of the Golden State Warriors. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Right now, let's talk about the drama, as you say, the drama of it all in Baltimore. That was John Harbaugh speaking at the owners' meetings in Arizona. And just as he started to talk, Natalie, just at the time that John Harbaugh was talking, Lamar Jackson said, "Oh, wait a minute. Y'all said I don't know how to play the game with these billionaires? You say I need an agent to make things happen? Ooh, I'll raise you then." He started tweeting, and he said he requested a trade on March 2nd.
Yep.
The Ravens responded several days later by putting the non-exclusive franchise tag on him and allowing him to go to the market to see what's out there. As we know, strangely, for a quarterback who's won nearly 74% of his regular season games and has been a unanimous MVP all before the age of 24, well, unanimous MVP before the age of 24, there is no market. And so now he says he wants to be traded, or he asked for a trade. And the Ravens, John Harbaugh says, no, I love Lamar. I love Lamar. Natalie, what are we missing? What do you think is happening here? Ravens say one thing. Lamar Jackson seems to be saying something completely different. Where do you land on this?
Yeah, I think it's about control. It's what we've been talking about. It's what our friend Mike Jones wrote about recently, who will be coming on later to join us. But I believe it's somewhere in the middle. So I do believe the Ravens want to keep Lamar. They don't want to meet him on his asking price. And I think they are trying to complicate the situation. So, to force his hand. And right now he is not folding. And so we have this situation that we haven't seen before.
Yeah. Okay. But, I know we were talking earlier, and before we came on, we had Mike Jones singing, which, that's not his strength. That's not a strength, Mike. You're one of the best reporters in the world, but you're not one of the best singers in the world. So he was talking about love songs, Boys to Men. Vinny's talking about Jodeci. And in these love songs, people tell stories about what they want and what they missed out on, and they had another chance, and give me another chance. So you can say, Natalie, that the Ravens want him, but here's after the love song. Hey, that all sounds good, what you said, but right. What are you willing to do? And if you're not willing to do it, then you don't. No, you don't. The Ravens don't want Lamar Jackson. They got to be honest with themselves. They don't want Lamar. No, they don't want him. They don't want him because getting Lamar Jackson, you can't say, hey, I want you if you do this. No. Part of the package for Lamar Jackson, he's already told you what it's going to take. It takes something that you're not willing to give. So if you're not willing to give it, you don't want him. You don't want all things considered. Yeah, you want parts of them, but love doesn't work like that. Real love is you got to take the entire package. Hey, I like you when you're nice to me. I like you when you dress up. I like you when we go on vacation. No, those are just like little pockets. Those are little pockets of real life. It's 365. Are you ready to deal with the 365 of Lamar Jackson, which includes a big contract And if you're not willing to do that, then you might as well go ahead and say, we don't want Lamar Jackson. I think he's already reached that conclusion. That's why he asked for a trade.
Yeah. I mean, Michael, I would say that actually is how love works for a lot of people's relationships, right? It comes with conditions, though we're told it shouldn't. And so I think they want to keep Lamar with conditions. And he's like, no, forget your conditions. And I'm going to go do me. And so that's where this stalemate comes in, right? And I think by now they expected him to fold, and he will not. He wants to do this on his terms.
Yeah, I'm glad you used that word, stalemate, Natalie. It's not a stalemate anymore. I think it's maybe it's not a stalemate. Lamar versus Baltimore. Lamar versus Baltimore is now over. The way I look at it, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll play in Baltimore anymore. So now the stalemate is Lamar versus the rest of the league. He's in a really fascinating position. And I mean, there will be documentaries on this 5 and 10 years from now. We'll be talking about this. We're in the middle of it. So clearly we don't have all of the wisdom and insight that we need being in it in real time. But this is a case of a great young talent at the most important position in football. The position is so important that the Carolina Panthers moved up from 9 to 1 to draft themselves a quarterback. The Houston Texans were at 2, and they were thinking about going up to 1 to get a quarterback. There may be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 14, 13 picks. A couple of years ago, there were 5 quarterbacks taken in the first 15 picks, 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. So this position is so important, yet the rest of the NFL says, no, we're not having conversations with Lamar Jackson.
Right.
The Baltimore Ravens aren't paying him what he feels like he's worth. The rest of the NFL so far, unless they've been creeping by the back door, but nobody publicly has come out and said, yes, Lamar Jackson is on our radar. This is a fascinating time in the history of the league. There's Lamar in the short term. It's what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. Big picture, I think I know what's happening. It's walking like it. It's talking like it. It's sitting like it. It's putting memos out like it. But we can't just flat out say collusion. But
right.
Damn it, Natalie, it sure does look like collusion to me. Lamar Jackson's not playing for the Baltimore Ravens anymore. Question is, before we move on to another topic that's also fascinating, but not necessarily in a good way. Before we move on to another topic, if he doesn't play in Baltimore, you may disagree with me. You may think he will. If he doesn't play for the Baltimore Ravens, where do you think he might go in 2023? Or will he play at all?
Yeah, before I answer that, I just want to say the only reason I think there may be a chance is because at the end of the day, this seems like the money that he wants, right? He wants to be paid what he thinks his value is, and most of us do. So that's fair. But right now, still, there hasn't been a market yet. No one has. I mean, we know that people want Lamar Jackson, right? How could teams not want him for the most important position? But no one has broke yet. And so at some point, a decision has to be made. And if the Baltimore Ravens are hurting themselves, because without a decision being made, they can't move forward either. And so they're putting themselves in a position to start off the season not in a good way. So at some point, something has to happen. And so at some point, if their hands are forced and they finally offer Lamar what he wants, unless there's another option on the table, I don't think he's going to just be like, no, forget it, So, but if he has another option, I think the question then becomes, will he walk away if the Ravens come and finally say, okay, we'll meet you here, right? But he still has to have another option first before he can walk away.
Good point, Natalie. If he has another option, he's taking it. If there's another option there, he's taking it. You know how it is. I mean, it's just, it really is. It's relationships. I'm going to talk about relationships in a way that's, that might be problematic too, but in relationships, sometimes you just get to a point, the communication breaks down. You feel like your needs aren't being met. You have expectations that the other person either doesn't understand or understands, is unwilling to meet you there at that level of expectation, and it just craters from there. And I think that's where Lamar Jackson is. That the Ravens aren't there because they're still trying to get a deal.
Right.
Lamar Jackson is there because it is business and personal with him. With the Ravens, it's business. With Lamar, it's business and personal. And that's,
I understand
those things tend to happen. Yes. One, with all professional athletes, all employees, but specifically those athletes and employees who represent themselves and don't have some type of buffer who can just kind of take some of that pressure off. Hey, you deal with the corporate heads, you deal with the suits. I'm just gonna go ahead and be a creative. I'm gonna go ahead and be an artist and do my thing. Lamar Jackson is doing both.
To answer your question really quick, Holley, let me just answer the question. So I would like the Jets to put their hand in the Lamar. You know, I don't think they will, but I would like it. I think he'd be great in New York, and I think the city would love him. I know, because they went all in on Rodgers, but hey, I still would like it. But I would also love a Bieniemy reunion. So that and Atlanta. I think any of those three destinations. I know that the Jets are very unlikely, but those are the three teams that I would like to see where he'd end up. Don't know that he will.
You know what would really hurt? There's already like this little shade, historical shade. I don't know if they still feel the same way anymore because they got a couple Super Bowl titles out of it, the Ravens and Baltimore. But historical shade between Baltimore and Indy. Baltimore, Robert Irsay, Jim's father just left town. Just gathered up all this stuff, said he was going to the store to get some milk and bread, and got into a moving van, moved the entire franchise overnight under the cover of darkness, moved the franchise from Maryland to Indiana. The Indianapolis Colts, we're so used to it, we don't even say, that name doesn't make no sense. The Indianapolis Colts? No, the Baltimore Colts. Pimlico's right down the street. It's the Baltimore Colts. They don't know about horses in Indianapolis. They know about cars. It's Hoosier country. It ain't horse country. But they left town. And now, Lamar Jackson, that's a good fit. Indianapolis Colts, they got a good young team, good young roster, infrastructure. Drop him in there. Let him do his thing. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.